like that music.
Thank you.
I didn't know our voices was there.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully, everything looks good and sounds good because we are joined by my good friend Studio Nicktendo on this episode of the Vault 13 podcast. I just want to say thank you to everybody that will be coming by, whether you're watching it live or after the fact. We're here to talk to him about some music, gaming, stuff that he's always involved in, but also dive into some of his other loves, anime and wrestling, because we're always in Discord talking about that stuff and all that, and I thought it'd be cool to shine a little bit of light on that because if y'all remember when he first came around, he was known as Nicktendo Direct, and he actually talked about anime and stuff on his previous channel, but now he's more to his music and all of that. But it's cool to have him here, and thank you for being here. But enough of my jibber jab. Studio Nicktendo, what you been up to, any games you've been playing, and tell people about who you are.
Man, I've been up to pretty much what a lot of people's doing. You know, if you're not considered essential, I've just been sitting at home doing nothing, which is awesome, but not awesome at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, I'm enjoying being at home, but it's like sometimes you just get real restless and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I've taken that time to like go through games that I haven't beat. Like, that's the best part about it. Like, I beat a lot of JRPGs that were on my backlog. A lot. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Torna, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which that wasn't in the backlog, but you know what I'm saying. So It's been taking my time playing a lot of JRPGs that I otherwise wouldn't have gotten to. Started Persona 5, which was a mistake, in my opinion, because I'm now addicted to that game. The game is really good. I see what the hype is about.
Cool.
So yeah, man, just playing a lot of Persona, watching a lot of anime that is available because right now they're not really putting out a lot of new shows because of the pandemic right now. So, you know, the Black Clovers, the Food Wars, they're not airing. But at least we're still getting Tower of God, so that's at least holding me over. And so I've just been like catching up, watching a bunch of shows like Plunderer, and a bunch of older shows, you know, that people keep telling me that I gotta watch. So that's what I've been doing there, as well as making music. And really, so it's really just been anime, music, gaming, wrestling on Monday and Fridays, and Wednesdays, and the occasional pay-per-view.
Cool. That's cool stuff. So to start things off, I want to start with music, and then we can gravitate towards the wrestling, because obviously I'm wearing a Rhea Ripley shirt right here. Big wrestling fan. There you know.
Well, I'm technically wearing, I'm wearing my Kakal Nation shirt, which was an XFL thing. Which, by the way, did you see that news today? They might be bringing it back. Did you see that?
I haven't seen it.
I'm really excited. Yeah. I'm really excited. Yeah. So apparently, like, the news is, I know you're going to ask me a question, but I'd say it because I'm just really excited. So apparently, Vince McMahon had the XFL, because remember, it was two separate companies. So everybody was bashing Vince McMahon because whenever they went bankrupt, he didn't file the bankruptcy. Whatever the company that owned the XFL did. And so what he did was, since the company that claimed the XFL filed bankruptcy, apparently what's going on is, since they filed bankruptcy, Vince McMahon is now going to purchase the XFL himself and redo it.
Wow.
So, like, that's the rumor going on, because the rumor is he's already reached out to people in St. Louis and Seattle and like some of the big markets about re-renting the venues and stuff. That's what's kind of been going down the street. So guess what? Your boy is excited again, because you know me, I was really all about that XFL. I mean, so I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, from what I saw, the XFL, it was doing all right. You know, it's just this whole pandemic that came around. It just messed it all up.
It killed it. It killed it. You know, it was doing great, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah. Sorry. Go ahead and ask that question again, because I got distracted by the XFL. I was really excited.
It's all right, man. I just wanted to kind of dive into your like just a little bit in the beginning here. Dive into your love for like music and anime and wrestling. Like, where did your love for like music? And I know you talked about on Mikhail Casanova's and other podcasts in the past about this stuff, but I want to share with people that may come by my channel and also me, because I like to know about it. Where did your love for like playing music? And you've said that you're best at drums, but where did all that come from?
So like I said to Mikhail, you know, the background runs deep, whether it's my grandfather or my mother. And that's where the I guess you could say the talent or whatever, the genes came from. But like, so like music for me, most of my stuff was self-taught a little bit. I when I was a little kid, I didn't want to be taught. Like, my mom tried to teach me, but I was like, I don't want to be taught to play music. So I sort of figured it out, but it wasn't like anything great until I actually like got into band in school and learned how to read music and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, band, concert band, jazz band, marching band throughout junior high and high school. And that's where sort of that came from. And so I kept doing that, choir. I didn't learn to play guitar because so this is where it started. So whenever I was 16 or 17, I wanted to start a band. You know, you go to church, you have a youth group, and that's the typical thing, you know, in the Midwest, church youth group band, want to start a band, whatever. And so me learning guitar was out of necessity because we had two people in the youth group that could play drums. So it was like, who's going to play drums? And we had a bass player, we had one guitarist, but that was it. So they wanted to have a rhythm guitarist. And so I kind of just started looking at tabs and sort of reading tabs and kind of learning, okay, this is the notes you're supposed to touch and stuff, because when you read tabs, it shows you everything you're supposed to play.
Yeah.
And so that's how I learned, was reading tabs and learning along with songs like Fall Out Boy, Reliant K. Really, those were the big ones too. The first two big ones, Fall Out Boy, Reliant K, Hawthorne Heights, bands like that. And just started learning songs like that through tabs. And so then I slowly was getting better at playing guitar. So that's where the guitar came from. But in marching band, it was all about the drums. In high school, it was all about the drums until, I had to learn the guitar in order to be in a band. So I did that. And it just kind of picked up from there, from guitar to bass, to the little keyboard and piano experience that I had from my mom that carried over too. Nice. And so ever since then, it's just been music, or anime. For a while there, I did try to go to college to run track because I ran long distance in high school, and I almost went to college to run, but I decided not to because I didn't want to run anymore because that was not going to be fun. I'd much rather played music. So that was the decision behind that. So that's where that came from too. So just high school, being in bands, going on tour for a month in one of my bands, and kept trying and being a part of the music scene. And it all just expanded from there until, I met my wife, and then that was it.
That's very, very cool. I remember me. I didn't play it in high school, but I played trumpet whenever I was in middle school. And some of those bands you were playing, like talking about Fall Out Boy, Reliant K, Hawks Nights, that's what me and my friends were just listening to back then.
Man. Those like 2002 to 2004, that whole era of music, like the underground scene, the Warped Tour scene, the pop punk bands, the Blink-182s, the Taking Back Sundays, Reliant K's. My favorite band was Emery, Under Oath, just all those bands. It was its own subculture. Like, you had your popular bands, that were on the radio, but then you had this other thing that was happening that, if you were a part of it, it was like one of the coolest things. If you weren't a part of it, you just don't understand.
Yeah.
you just don't understand it at all.
It's like, I'll mention it real quick because it was in the news last week. Like you got the Tony Hawk games coming back. Those bands, bands that were like in the skater or emo or punk scene, man, those games, dude, you would hear that stuff all the time.
Yeah, man, like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the Goldfingers, Rage Against the Machines.
Yes.
Who else is on that soundtrack? I can't remember. Goldfinger, Rage Against the Machine, Primus. Yeah. A bunch of just a Bad Religion. Just a bunch of punk bands were on there too. Mm-hmm. Like, that was just such a good time to grow up in. If I had to be honest with you, like, it was a great time to grow up in.
Yeah, man. I remember, man, some of my favorite bands from back that time were My Chemical Romance, AFI, Green Day, stuff like that.
My Chem.
Yeah,
man. I wasn't big into My Chem, even though I did listen to them a lot, but I wasn't like huge into them.
I like the guitar playing on it because those guitar players. Whew.
Yeah, the guitar player is really solid. Their music is really solid too. I mean, obviously, because they are an extremely popular band. Mm-hmm. So obviously, the music hits. AFI wasn't really big into. I just never did. I never did understand. Like, I remember they put out that. I think I was a little too late to the AFI wagon. Like, I remember they had that one song called like "Love Like Winter."
Yeah,
and that was like their big radio hit. But that was, everybody hated it, but me. I was really big into AFI. Like, I missed the whole Mrs. Winter and all that stuff.
Yeah, and
Miss
Winter. And I just want to mention to everybody in chat, if y'all want to ask any questions while we're talking about any of these topics, feel free to drop them in there, ask questions, we'll answer them, and all that. Big Evil says, Power Man 5000. Yes, I like that.
Yes, sir.
So I see that, and I like how you transition, how you've always kept music a part of your life, because like you talk about it, and like even the few times you've kind of talked about it in Discord with me and all, that's really cool. And also whenever you have grown to actually, hey, I'm not just playing music, now I can show it through a YouTube, because nowadays it's kind of hard when you have a family and all that to sit there and say, hey babe, I want to be in a band and go on tour, but now I can still do that kind of thing, but I can do it through social media, and push my music that way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the best parts about it, like you said, because it's easy when you don't have a job, when you're 18, 19 years old, don't have a job, to go on tour, no kids, no responsibilities. You just drop everything and hop in a 15-passenger van and you go out. Like, it's really easy to do that. And then when you start, like, that's how it was. Like, we went on tour when I was 18, 19 years old. Wow. I think I just turned 19. And so we went on tour, but like we just went on tour and traveled, and went here and there. Like we did it was the dates that we did on that tour was like a Midwestern, mostly Midwestern dates.
Yeah.
So Nebraska, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin. And it was in the middle of January and February, so it was so cold, dude. Like that's probably the worst mistake we could have made was to tour in the Midwest during the height of winter. Like that was probably the worst decision ever because like snow and like especially Chicago. I remember when we got to Chicago, it was like -3.
Wow, I've never
and it was not fun. Like try loading all your heavy equipment in -3 degree weather. Whew. Not fun.
Man, I've myself, I've been in several bands, but I've never been on tour. I've just like played like the local places around Memphis. So it's cool to hear somebody that's actually had experience, you know, going on a little bit of touring. So transitioning from that, because we're gonna hit on a lot of different things, because I got a lot that I'd like to get to know. Transitioning from being the guy that, hey, I played music and I want to tour and be in these bands, to now being a guy that plays music and does covers. How's the transition been for you as a musician, and how is it on social media when you meet other musicians that sometimes you meet musicians and all they've done is done their music on the internet and haven't toured?
That transition was a lot. Well, one, you gotta learn. You kind of depends. Like, so learning the hardest part for me, because I want to say it's an easy transition, but it really wasn't. But it is easy in the sense that you don't have to rely on like 4 other people. You know what I mean? Like usually when you're in a band, you got to rely on 4 other people to show up, be there. You got to deal with the drama that comes with it, whatnot. Doing it on your own is great because you really answer to one person and that's yourself. You know, all the ideas come from you. The responsibility of getting things done is solely on you. So that's a bigger transition. But the hardest part is learning how to do everything yourself, though. Like learning how to record the music, learning how to do this, learning what a compressor does, learning how a compressor works, learning what a bus compressor is, learning what a 3-channel EQ is, learning how to work at 3-channel EQ. Learning how noise gates work, learning how to do this and that. And when you record and have the right interface, and you need to have these cables because these cables buzz on your guitar and these don't. Like just there's a bunch of just small things when it comes to the recording aspect that you have to learn. That was the most difficult, and it's still learning. I'm not perfect at doing this at all. Like I'm still learning new tricks every time, whether, you know, getting new plugins. This plugin works better here, not that. I don't like this auto tune for my vocals because I'm terrible. How do I fix? You know what I mean? Like, like just stuff like that. That's really the hardest part is learning that aspect of it. But honestly, like that is nothing compared to the fact that you're 100% responsible for your own work. Like I said, you're not in a member with 5 other dudes, and you're not like you don't have to share the load or worry that somebody's going to mess it up for you. It's all on you. That's like the best part about it. So you only answer to yourself, and you have nobody to blame. Like I've heard a lot of stories of dudes in bands like, man, we could have made it, but you know, or we were going to go on tour, but the guy who had the van and the trailer, the rich kid, like he quit. So now we can't go on tour. Like you hear stories like that all the time and bands like that. So I don't have that. Like it's all on me right here. So that's one of the best things about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like whenever I was in a few bands with my dad, and we would just get to like band practice or do this stuff, and you got to rely on other people. It's like band practice. Oh, I can't make it tonight. Oh, I can't.
Yeah, man.
Oh, we got a gig in a few weeks. We got to learn these songs. We got to get better at these parts. You know, these transitions and all that. And it's like, oh, I can't make it because of work or this, and then you transition to, oh, we've got myself. The internet. I'm this one identity. People want to see me put out these covers or these songs and all that. So now when it comes to practice time or learning a new part or trying something different, I've got to depend on myself because I can't sit there and say, hey, can you help me? Can you do this? Because there's nobody there.
Right. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm still in a band now. Like we've talked before. Yeah. I'm still in a band now, and like we keep trying to practice. Like when we gonna practice, and you know. I'm like, man, I'm glad. Like, if I didn't have this, I would be freaking out about not practicing in that band. But now that I have this, it's like, all right, we're not practicing. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing over here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it helps out a whole lot having this.
That's the thing that I see. Because like me, I didn't play music for after I got out of the band with my dad. He still kept doing it, and I got out of it and went full time in my job. And I noticed whenever I got on the guitar sometimes I'd get rusty. But since you're doing something that's keeping you up, you're not getting rusty. You're staying on top of your guitar and your bass and different sounds and your stuff. And when y'all do get back together, you better bring, hey, what I do here can help us out here, maybe.
Right. Oh yeah, it definitely does help a lot in that aspect. But the thing is, I played drums in that band, so it's like, and I don't have drums here, so it's just weird.
Yeah.
So I don't really get a lot of practice.
Yeah, because you got to program the drums here. You can't just go.
Yeah, I got to program the drums. I don't have a space to record. Maybe I will one of these days. That'd be pretty fun if I did.
That'd be cool, because man, I love your drum work. From what I've seen, and especially when you showed me that other band stuff that you showed me like months ago through old YouTube videos and all that, you play the drum very well.
Thanks, man.
And I like what you play, and I just me as a fan of what Studio Nicktendo does. Everybody here, if y'all want to ask any questions, I got a question we'll answer in just a moment. But I really like the way that you're playing stuff, and the way that you like when you're playing, like you'll smile. Like I watch your videos and you be smiling while you're playing, or you're like so happy to jump in the Discord with me and Avedon or anybody and just share. Hey, this is what I've done here. Hey, I'm working on this track. Yeah. And it's really cool to see somebody's enthusiasm on what they do, because I've had some people that I've met and they're just playing music to play it. Hey, it gets me a paycheck. It gets me this, go to this gig, and they're not happy about it. It's like, you're that talented, but you're not happy. Like, come on.
Yeah. Like, thank God, like the passion's there. Like for me, it's about the experience of learning how to do like recording stuff for me. Yes, I would love for the channel to keep growing and growing and growing and be able to make a living off of it. But for me, it's more about the learning experience of how to do things, because I mean, audio engineering and learning how to do stuff like that is a practical skill. Like people do need people to do stuff like that. You know what I mean? People need not only that, but editing video. That's another practical skill. So, editing audio and editing video, that's something you can end up doing for a living if you get really well at it. So it's not just about the music; it's also just learning practical skills and a lot of other things. Yeah. Cool. How many times I've had people say, "Hey, can you edit this video?" Yeah, yes, I can. And they ask how, and they're like, "That sounds like a lot of work." And I'm like, "Well, yeah. It kind of is." But you're just learning different skills. So it's not just about the music as per se. It's just learning other practical skills.
Yeah, it's the same thing when it comes to. I want to get to that question in just a second, but it's the same thing when it comes to YouTube. Like me setting this whole thing up, doing it with you. It's a lot of things you got to learn how to set stuff up and set videos up and set your layout and make sure it's not showing stuff that it shouldn't show and crop and all this stuff. It's like people think, oh, a YouTube video is just hitting live on something and playing a game, or hitting live and hey, I'm in front of the camera talking about my favorite wrestler of all time or match.
Right.
It's more to it.
Goes into this, man. Like people don't understand. There's a lot of work that goes into having a good quality YouTube channel, and when you tell people that, they don't believe it. They're like, no, man, how hard can it be? And then, all right, well, let me see you do it then. You know what I mean? See you do it. There's a lot of work that goes into these live streams that people just don't know or don't see. Getting your capture card. You have a green screen. I don't even have a green screen, so I don't even know how to do that. Set up your green screen, getting your layout. Oh, now I got to go to Photoshop to make the layout. I got to do this and that. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of work and time that goes into this YouTube thing that people just don't see, and they think that it should just be, oh, it's easy. No, it's not.
Yeah. So the question that was asked was about Big Evil Gaming. He said the question for Mr. Studio, number one favorite all-time game and song is. So I guess it's a two-parter question.
Favorite all-time game, Mass Effect. Probably Mass Effect 2. Mass Effect, followed closely by Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It would go 1A, 1B there, because I love the Legend of Zelda series, and there's a lot more Legend of Zelda games than are Mass Effect, but there was something about Mass Effect 2 that just blew my mind, whether it was the decisions that you had to make and how they mattered, the Paragon and the Renegade trees, to the whole basis of the game and the story there, to the relationships that you can form. Mass Effect was just a ridiculous game. It's still, to this day, I love it. And Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't as good as the other three, but I still thought it was solid and I enjoyed playing that game. So that's that. But yeah, it probably got to go Mass Effect, followed closely by Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild was game changing for the Legend of Zelda franchise. Favorite song? That's tough. That one's really, really, really tough. See, because for me, it goes in stages, right? Like it goes from favorite song that I listen to right now to favorite hip hop song to favorite heavy song to favorite pop punk. So you know what I mean? But I guess my favorite song ever would have to be probably the most influential song to me because it's from my favorite band. It's the song called Walls by Emery. And I remember the first time I heard that song, I was watching, my mom and dad we just got satellite TV. We had just got satellite TV, and there was this a TV station. I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember what the TV station was called, but it was like a quote unquote Christian TV station where they played like heavier music, like Under Oath and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I remember that station.
Yeah, and I used to just watch it and fall asleep to it. And I remember one time I woke up and it woke me up because the song by Emery came on. There's at the beginning of the song, they scream the words, "Are you listening?" It's like, "Are you listening?" Like, and the song kicks off, right?
Yeah.
And so I was asleep when that song kicked on and it woke me up. And I was like, yo, this song is dope. And it woke me up about 3 a.m. And so the first thing I did was I got up, got out of bed. I went to my computer. I went to LimeWire and I downloaded the album.
LimeWire, I ain't used that since middle school.
That's the first thing I did. Like downloaded the album, and that was my favorite band ever since then. Like,
man, I remember in high school, man, you're bringing up some memories, man. Middle school. Hey, you want this song? Yes, go to LimeWire and get it. Oh man.
So yeah, it was just I remember that. Like, so my favorite song is probably Walls by Emery. Emery's my favorite. They got a bunch of bangers. My favorite song right now, though, currently, is a song by a band called Silent Planet. It's called Trilogy. Heavy song, but it's so good. It's so heavy, but so beautiful. If you want to go check it out, Big Eagle, Silent Planet Trilogy, and you'll see what I mean. The song is just ridiculous.
Okay, so we got another question because I want to ask more about some of your instruments and then move on to some wrestling and anime stuff. But we do have a question from Linda, aka the Gamer Girl. She says, "What setup does he have?" Question mark PC question mark. I guess about your setup that you got there.
Yeah. So I have a PC. It is a. I don't. Okay, here's the deal. I didn't build this PC. I purchased this PC. It was a pre-built purchase from somebody, and they purchased it, and I purchased it from them. So I don't know the exact specs. All I know is that it's an i5. I had to put 16 gigs into it because the 8 gigs was killing me. It's got a T16. I believe it's got a 1060 NVIDIA 1060 graphics card. And so that's what I'm running right now for my audio engineering. I don't game much on it. It was supposed to be a gaming PC, but I use it more so for audio work and video editing. And so, yeah, the setup that I have there, the webcam I have is a Razer Kio. The microphone I have is an Audio Technica AT2020 running to my interface. It's an XLR mic, so it's not USB. It's an actual XLR mic, you know.
Ah, that's nice.
So that's why you get the kind of more radio sound to it because it's actually the analog feel versus the digital USB. So that's what I'm running there. And yeah, I think that's about it. As far as like all audio stuff goes, I'm not gonna really get into like everything. Unless you want to get into it. But yeah, like I can give you more details of like studio monitors and guitars and all that stuff if we want to get into that later. Yeah. But I feel like that might be boring for everybody.
Well, I just wanted to ask because I've seen you use several. Like you got that. I like that mic you got back there behind you. That mic that you've been singing in for your couple.
Yes, the Rode Pod mic. Yeah, that mic is solid for vocal takes.
Yeah, because I've been seeing like I saw it pop up, and I saw several people through like YouTube and social media using that mic, and then I saw you singing with it. I'm like, that's the first time I've seen it using that application, and it sounded really good.
Yeah, see, like I got the idea because I saw another YouTuber. Her name is Lacey Johnson. She was showing everybody her studio, her home setup, and she was using a Shure SM 4 microphone, which is for her vocal takes. And I'm like, well, isn't that mic normally used for radio? Like you see a lot of radio hosts have that microphone, but she was doing vocal takes with it. I was like, well, her vocal takes actually sound pretty decent. What is comparable? And I read that this was comparable to that microphone. For the price of what you get for it, those microphones that she has run to be about $400-$500 wherever depending on where you can get them. And that's just for one. And they said that this one was comparable. This one was only $9.99. And like I said, it's a pretty solid microphone as well as this one. Both of these are really good, solid microphones.
Cool. So to kind of wrap the thing up on the music thing, because it's really been fun hearing about that, and all that. So I've seen you use several different basses and guitars. Do you have any one that you could like say it's like your one of your favorites to like play? Because people always say, "Hey, this is my baby right here, my main."
My favorite guitar that I've ever owned is not here anymore. I gave it away to my best friend. So like there was a point in time where I just didn't feel like playing music anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, I don't need all this gear. So I started to sell it. But there was this one guitar that I have. It was a Fender 72 Deluxe that I purchased from the guitarist that was in Taking Back Sunday, which is why I didn't want to get rid of it.
Wow.
Which is why I didn't want to get rid of it.
I've seen that.
So I purchased it from that guitarist and I modded it a little bit. I added my classics and I added a white pickguard to it. So it looks a little bit different, but it's the same guitar, right?
Yeah.
And so I gave it to my best friend because he still was playing guitar at the time. I was like, look, I don't want to sell this thing. I really want to keep it, but I just don't want it to sit in my basement and not be used. I was like, so this is yours. Do not sell this thing. Don't give it away. If you're tired of it, give it back. That was the deal, right? So I gave it to him. And so that was my favorite guitar that I've ever owned. Right now, my favorite guitar that I have right now, even though I kind of need to fix it a little bit, is the Schecter Tempest. The electric guitar that I used in the hollow cover.
Yeah.
That one's got P94 pickups in it, and it's got this really good single coil bite, but they run really hot, so it gives it a lot more bite. The only problem is those pickups are so noisy and buzzy. So like whenever I do certain songs, it's really hard to like get them to sound proper in a mix, because if you don't mix it right, you'll be able to hear the guitar actually buzzing during the takes.
Yeah.
So I don't use it much on the heavy songs because you will hear the buzz.
Yeah, because when you put that's something that a lot of people don't realize when you're playing guitars. If it's really hot pickups, really hot stuff, when you do certain things, or like you put like overdrive or distortion on it, you're gonna pick up everything. You could be not touching the guitar and just have it hanging there, and you'll hear it.
Oh man, yeah. Like I remember I took that guitar out when I played a show, not too long ago, and we were at a venue. And if I did not, like, I literally had to run out of the bridge pickup only and then switch to the neck pickup when I wasn't playing because of the noise. It would literally pick up my monitor that was in front of me.
Wow. So
you could hear the wedge sound come through the pickup if I wasn't playing. It was terrible.
When I was little, I never knew the guitars could pick up so well. And then I had my phone in my hand, I went by my dad's guitar. He forgot to turn the amp off, and I heard it go through the amp. I'm like, how did that happen? He's like, I forgot to turn my amp off. It went straight through the pickup, straight through there, and I'm like, oh, it hurt the whole.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Like, yeah, but that's my favorite guitar I have right now. I'm probably going to get another one, but that's different.
Yeah, but cool. You have a cool collection of guitars, and I like that you kind of try the guitars you do there. You kind of show them off in your videos and all that, because like you'll see the cuts you make, and you'll see like a different guitar, a different bass come in there, and I'm liking it.
Yeah, well, like whenever I do different, like if I do different, like for the song "Life Will Change." There was 2 different guitars, and those are the guitars that I used for the rhythm takes and everything. So I wanted to make sure that I represented them. So these are the guitars that I use. So this is the guitar I want to put in the video.
Cool.
And so that's what I try my best to do.
Yeah. And that bass that you got, that red one that you used, I really like how that one looks. Sounds.
The Jag, yes. The Jag. Fun fact, that one's not my bass. That is my buddy's bass that he let me borrow for the time being, because my jazz bass, the black jazz bass that I used to have, is no longer here. It's no longer with us.
But man, I like
it's
it.
It's no longer with us.
Yeah. So hopefully y'all have enjoyed us talk about some music and dive into that. Both of us being musicians and big fans of music. Now I want to transition over to something else. The wrestling I want to get to save it for towards the end, but I want to dive into some anime because he's been keeping me on some of these animes. Been having late nights till 2-3 o'clock in the morning on Discord, just watching stuff like Tower of God. And I've watched. He got me into My Hero. I haven't caught all up on everything due to work and everything like that, but I just got to watch pretty much the last season of it and all that. So where did your love and all that for anime? Because you used to, as Nicktendo Direct, where I met you at, you used to have a whole part of your channel that was dedicated to it.
Oh man, anime love for love for anime comes from pretty much where anybody our age's love for anime comes from. If you like literally, there was a whole if you every Saturday morning on WB Kids, 4Kids, you were watching Pokemon, One Piece, and all those shows, and on Fox you were watching Digimon. And I remember in the early to late 90s, like the Japan invasion as an entertainment was just now getting big. So you remember Pokemon debuted and how awesome that was.
Yeah,
and
man.
One Piece and Digimon and Monster
Hunter. You wanted them Pokemon cards. You wanted the games for your Game Boy and everything.
Monster Hunter, Dragon Ball Z on Toonami, After School, Dragon Ball, Rurouni Kenshin, like just all these shows. And then not to mention the Adult Swim shows that came on Saturday night. So, it came from wake up in the morning, Pokemon's on before school. You get home, Dragon Ball Z's on after school. Then on Saturdays, you watch Pokemon in the morning, you stay up all night and watch the stuff on Adult Swim. You know what I mean? Like it was that's where it came from. That was my routine, was wake up in the morning, watch Pokemon, go to school, get home, not get home, like have basketball practice, track practice, get home. If I got home late, I made sure that it was taped. I would watch Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And that would be my everyday thing. After that, I'd play GameCube or I'd play PlayStation, After that, wake up, do the same thing. Go to school, Pokemon, go to school, And that was literally what I did as a kid, Then I got a car and then I stopped, watching Dragon Ball Z after school, but then we would still watch anime on Saturday nights though, because Adult Swim, Adult Swim back in the day was fire.
Yeah,
fire, man. Full Metal Alchemist, Eureka 7, Inuyasha, Bleach, just all sorts of sorts of great shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember watching that stuff back in the day. I wish they would have kept the stuff going because it was really, really fun. But I remember watching Gundam for the first time ever. Through it. I remember for a long period of time they had Naruto be one of the staples, and for years it was there. It was there, and I remember watching that right there. And I was just sitting there. I recorded every week and just record it. And that Sundays I'd get up and just be binge watching it. I'm just like, man.
Yes, I would because we had, like I said, when we just got satellite TV, and that was when the DVR was first a thing.
Yeah.
So I would DVR. Luckily, my parents were cool enough to have multiple DVRs in the house, so I had a DVR on my TV. So, but we shared data, so we would share the same data on our satellite, but we all had a DVR in our rooms. But what happened is everybody shared the same data. So if it got full, somewhere I had to delete it. So what I did is I would DVR anything that I missed. And then I would take my tape and my VCR, I'd put it in, and I'd watch it, and I would record it for myself. So I'd put I had tapes.
Wow.
This is my tape of Full Metal Alchemist. This is my tape of Dragon Ball Z. This is my tape of Dragon Ball. Like I would do it that way, and record it for myself, and that way I could go back and watch it or watch my friends. Same thing every Saturday night. If I missed it, I would DVR it, and then I would just record it on VCR. And have episodes after episodes.
Well, I never knew you did that, man.
Man. Like that's back in the day. Like, because now we can just go to www.crunchyroll or Verve or Funimation, and we have anime just immediately at the tip of our fingers. Like we can do that. But 2003, 2004, what was you gonna do? You had to wait a whole 26 weeks to watch the same episode again because So if you missed an episode, you were screwed. It wasn't like you could just go back and watch it.
Yeah,
like you missed an episode, you weren't gonna see that episode again for a while. Like you would have to look at your TV guide or whatever and see when that next episode would come on. And sometimes it would be weeks, months before you got to see that one again. So I made sure to DVR it, and I made sure to at least put it on VCR so I could go back and watch it.
Definitely. That's cool. That's cool stuff to hear that somebody actually would go in the early days of DVR, which now they have a way more space. But back then, just to get it and record it that way so he could clear space up for his parents and be able to watch his stuff.
Yeah, that's what it was. My dad, because my dad would always want to watch his shows, right? He would always record my dad was really into fishing and hunting, so he would always watch his outdoor shows and record them. And he would get mad at me for hogging the song. All right, cool. Well, here's my solution. I'm going to put it on VCR and delete it after I'm done. Now I can watch all my stuff. Yeah, man. Like that was how it worked. It was the golden era.
Yeah. So I see you're a big still anime lover still to this day. So I know My Hero is one of your top. So is there any animes that maybe people don't know outside of My Hero that are some of your favorites and some that you really, really like deeply connect with since you've been watching it basically your whole life?
Oh, my whole life? Oof.
Like some of your...
My Hero I've been watching my whole life. My Hero is a newer one.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
My Hero. Man, a bunch of new ones right now. Like we watch Demon Slayer. Like Demon Slayer.
I like that right off the bat.
Demon Slayer is phenomenal. Tower of God, of course, right now. Food Wars is a big one that I did not think that I would like, and I would highly suggest anybody who likes comedy and over the top stuff like in anime, go watch it. You would not think that you would like a show about a cooking school. I didn't think I would, and I watched it and I did. I was like, oh man, this show is actually funny. It's about a school that obviously cooking school. Kid goes to cooking school, and he's a nobody. He's from nowhere, and this cooking schools are full of rich kids that are posh, learning to cook because they're from the culinary arts. He's there, and he's a better cook than half because he's just better. And so they have this thing called Food Wars where they have cooking battles, and it's just so over the top. It's like watching Dragon Ball Z but with cooking. Nice. It's so funny. It's so funny, and I actually like Food Wars. I suggest Food Wars to those people. Anybody. Man, I'm trying to think of some early. Fullmetal Alchemist is my all-time best favorite. Brotherhood, Fullmetal Alchemist is so good. Yeah, that's probably my all-time favorite.
Yeah, what's that recent one that you've been watching with me and Abaddon Leah with the little girl and all that? What's the name of that one?
Somali in the Forest Spirit. That one.
That's a recent one, but I like that one a lot.
That one's really good. Somali in the Forest Spirit, like, it's not for everyone. Like, I would say, for me, it hits hard because of, my children and my daughter. Like, it kind of reminds me of that. And so, but I love that show. And it looks great animation-wise. It's fun. That one's beautiful. The way they animated it and everything. That show's great.
Yeah, definitely. You peeped me on a lot of good stuff. Like just chatting with you and a bunch of people on the Discord, y'all got me into My Hero, Hunter x Hunter. I peeped out a few episodes of going back into One Piece and stuff like that, and it's just really, really fun diving into this because you think, there's a couple animes here and there, but then you go on nowadays, you go on Crunchyroll, like you said, or Verve,
you get
and you think there's a bunch of music out there. There's just as many animes nowadays.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that's really you hit it on the nail there. Though music is the reason why I connect with a lot of these. If it's got a good opener, I'll connect with it. If it's got a great soundtrack in the show, I can connect with it. So music is a big reason why I'll connect with these. Megadon. I don't know. It's a great question. My wife made me put clothes on, so that's why I have clothes on.
So it's a good thing to hit on is music, So you do anime covers in addition to the gaming covers on your channel. And it's really cool to see that because I've seen people do that for years on YouTube. But what inspired you to want to say, hey, I love that song. I actually want to cover it and put my little twist or spin on it.
Well, we can bring this back. So back in there was a back in 2000 and I can't remember what year it was, but I remember 2008 was when you remember these things called Punk Goes Pop and Punk Goes Hip Hop and
all these albums
that were coming out back in the day.
Around World War Tour time.
Yeah. Those albums really inspired me because they were you heard these songs and they were a great twist on cover songs. Like I hated radio music, but when these bands were doing these songs, it was phenomenal. And so that always carried with me to want to put my own spin on these covers. You'll see a lot of covers on nowadays, and they're kind of a one-on-one version of it. I try my best to at least put my own twist on it and make it a little bit heavier, a little bit different. I don't do things exactly to the T. I like with the with my 2 Persona covers. Like I kind of try to stay to the formula, but I also kind of went off on my own a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're talking about one of them. You kind of changed up a little bit of how it was to make it your own.
Yeah. Of course, and then obviously them being heavier songs. Persona 5 is a really disco-y, popish album. It's not in funk, like it's not a heavy album whatsoever.
Okay, another question. Let me see. What would your advice to be? Okay, we get in here on this question. If you could give any advice for people out there that maybe do something similar to you or do any kind of channel, what advice would you as a content creator give?
The advice I would be to build a channel more. It's a tough question because there's no right answer. Like, so for me, really, it is this thing's called social media, right?
Yeah.
We're on a thing called social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, Reddit. You got to be social. That's really a big note. Like you got to be real social on social media. You got to connect, got to make friends. That's one big thing. But really, just learning what your brand is and what you want to do, and sticking to that. Having a lot of ideas is good, but you need to hone in on those ideas of what you want to do, and then just stick to that path and that plan. Really, when it comes to YouTube, the big thing is you got to put out good content. Make sure your tags are right. Read your analytics, like really read your analytics, and because that's one of the most underrated things that people just say, well, the algorithm's not working. Well, it kind of is, and it kind of is not. You're right, but they're giving you tools in your analytics, and that's one thing I've learned is really look at your analytics, but don't live by your analytics, if that makes sense. So they give you tools on, when your audience is on for the most part. They give you tools in there to look at when your people are going to be on. They give you tools to look at when people are watching your video, when they're not watching your video, when they're falling off of your videos. It's all there if you look at it. And that can help you really decide what you want to do with your content. So for me, I remember whenever I first started doing these videos, at the end, I would do an outro. Because I was so used to doing outros like through the Nicktendo Direct stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're done, you're like, tell me what you think, hit the like button, subscribe. You do those outros at the end of the video. So I do those at the end of music covers. Well, when you see the analytics, people were not watching after that happened. They just would drop off. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I should stop doing that. And then I would look at whenever people were online or when they were more likely to view the videos and what days. It gives you a rundown really on the whole thing. So not to go into that, but really just to build your channel is 1, be social on social media. 2, make good friends throughout the community. And 3, take advantage of the tools that YouTube gives you on the analytics. Read them and work on them. And you don't have to follow it to a T or obsess over them, but it's just a tool that helps you grow. And you will see some growth. It may not be what you like, but you'll see some growth. You'll see it'll be here, there, a little there. I think the time of blowing up, big growth in YouTube isn't as common as a thing as it used to be. Like I think it takes a real special thing for that to happen. I think most channel growth is going to be a slow, gradual build.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And if I gave any advice, I kind of agree with exactly what he said, looking more at because they give you all these different tools. It's just they sit there and don't really like, this is how you use this tool. They kind of leave it to your own how you use it. Because you go into that stuff and you'll see like all these different age range or this or that, and you'll see like all this stuff like what is it, and you've got to learn it, and it's basically making you have to learn a lot more stuff than you expected. But for me, I kind of recently, as just as a content creator, kind of reference it back to high school. When you're in high school, you're that kid coming in, like say like my high school started in 9th grade. You come in and you're so nervous, you see all these juniors and seniors and all these people, and you're like, all the schools around the area were coming together because we had one high school in the county. So it's like you're seeing like people and you're nervous about it, and it's like, but then again, you got to go social. You got to go out there and make new friends, meet the people. You know, hey, they lived in the city next to you, but now they're going to the same high school because that's the only high school in the county, and you're like, I got to make friends in this. Same thing with social media. You got to go out there. You might be nervous to talk to this content creator, but you'll never know whether they're big or small if they'll ever talk to you unless you try. You know, right. So you go out there and you give a tweet, you say something. You don't sit there and be rude to the person, but you kind of be nice, because like sometimes you'll put a random tweet out there and somebody big like Roberto Blake or maybe Dash, you might say something. I put a tweet out years ago and I didn't think nothing of it, and then Jericho responds to me and says this, keep up your work, you know, and all this stuff, and I'm like, what? I just said I would like to do podcasts and stuff like he does, because he gets to live the dream, music, wrestling, and podcasts. And that's before I got more into the gaming side of things. He was doing everything that me as a person just graduating high school said, I wish I could do that. And that's a crazy thing about it.
Yeah, that's really a big thing about it is it's called social media, so you kind of got to be social with it. A lot of work on Twitter, a lot of connecting. You know, don't step on people's toes. That's really the big one too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, because I mean, you step on somebody's toe, and they've got a bunch of people that support them. You could be not just stepping on one person's toes, a bunch of people's toes. Yeah. And I've seen that happen. Like they're like, I didn't mean to make that person mad at me, but and why all these other people? Well, they support that person. They're gonna follow.
Exactly.
And it's gonna be like, and then you're gonna try to get work somewhere, or try to, hey, I want to jump on this podcast, and then when we're like, well, you messed up with my friend, and we're not gonna let you on here. I've seen that happen too much, especially when it comes to like people like when I first started getting like my PS4 or Switch. Everybody thought me as more of an Xbox guy, and I saw that Xbox community, and I'm like,
nope.
I'm like, nah. So I kind of had to sit there and kind of be on my own, but making friends like Studio Nicktendo and Avidon kind of helped me get out of the box and be able to see all this other stuff. They actually encouraged me to try some of these other consoles, and it was really cool. So I just right here live, I'll let y'all know, I gotta say thank you to people like Studio Nicktendo.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I'm checking my phone. I got a text.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, we're good.
Okay, cool. So, a question that I wanted to ask before we get into the wrestling, because that's something that we've talked about a lot, and you and people like Jake and especially you want to talk more. As far as it goes to anime, this is just one question because it's kind of put the, I guess, bow on it, I guess you could say. If somebody came new into anime and they said, hey, well, what kind of animes would you recommend me? Would you have maybe one or two or maybe three animes you could like recommend somebody that could get a new person into?
Well, I mean, it depends on what they want to watch. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, what do you like? Most of the people that I talk to, they're big in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So the first one I suggest them is My Hero Academia every time, because that's the most relatable one. Who can't relate to people with superpower? If you like Marvel, there's no way you're not going to relate to a show about kids who go to high school who have superpowers and are trained to be superheroes. Like, there's no way you're not going to relate to that, right? So that's usually the first one I'll suggest to anybody that's like, hey, I don't really like anime. What should I watch? And I'm like, well, do you like Marvel? And are you big into Marvel? Yeah. Boom, My Hero Academia, off the rip. That's always the first one I would suggest to anybody with that background. It all just depends on their taste, really. Do people like a lot of Dragon Ball Z? Like, because, you know, Dragon Ball Z is transcended almost anime to the point where it's so popular that everybody knows about Dragon Ball Z.
And it's been around forever.
Everybody knows about Dragon Ball Z. So I'm like, well, you like Dragon Ball Z? All right, cool. Then I can start suggesting some other shows, you know.
Yeah, because
the biggest one I've been trying to suggest to people right now is Demon Slayer, because that's really the one that I thought that show was so good last year, bro. That show was so good. And so Demon Slayer was the big one that I've been suggesting to a lot of people. That and My Hero. But it really just depends on your taste. Like, do you like murder mystery stuff? Can you get over the stigma of it just being a cartoon? Because that's a lot of people say, oh, it's a cartoon, I want to watch it. But anime is more than a cartoon, though.
Yeah, so what you're saying is it's like, if you pretty much got a taste in something, you can find an anime that can kind of help you out.
Seriously. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, if you can get over it being a cartoon and take it for what it is, where it's being an entertainment medium, there are every show out there for you. There are romantic anime, there are comedy anime, there are murder mystery animes, there are shows that deal with specters and the paranormal. There's those shows. You got your thrillers like Death Note. You got your superhero shows like My Hero. You have your other classic thrillers like Demon Slayer. Like there is a show for anybody in any genre in anime if you can get over the stigma of it being a cartoon. Cool, and take it for what it is. It's an entertainment medium. You will find a show you will like.
I've actually never watched that one that you said right there, Biggie. Well, that Afro. I've watched Samurai Jack because we all saw that, but Afro Samurai, I've never watched an episode.
Never watched Afro Samurai myself. I probably should. Samurai Champloo was a big one.
Cool. So it's cool to hear about his music and his channel, and also hear about anime and all that. But another big thing, you've seen it popped up. I've seen him wear that Keith Lee shirt of his, big fan of his and all that. And we've had talks we held this year in WrestleMania, the first WrestleMania without fans really there, other than just the crew that was working the matches. And it was different, but we got to watch. But I got to get off of work, and maybe I was like an hour into the show or something like that. But I'd come home and I'd see him and a whole bunch of people sitting there chilling. So when it comes
chilling in Discord watching it,
yeah. So when it comes to wrestling, everybody, I like to know what wrestlers got you drawn into it. Because did you watch it as a kid? Did it were you like into Rock, Stone Cold? Who piqued your interest, and what kept you coming back to it?
All right, so wrestling for me. The only reason why I even know anything about wrestling was because of my cousin. When I was younger, my cousin loved wrestling, and he loved Hulk Hogan. He loved Bret the Hitman Hart. He loved Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. I didn't know too much because I was a little younger. Like he loved all those wrestlers. Like he was just obsessed with them. So I watched wrestling a little bit. And so I grew up. There was that game on Sega. I can't remember the name of it. But that wrestling game on Sega, I'd play him with that all the time where we wrap up and you have to mash the button for the meter to fill up, you suplex each other. I can't remember the name of the game, but we'd always play that. And it was I think actually it was called Raw or something like that. I think is what it was called, or something crazy. But I remember he loved Bret, Shawn Michaels, stuff like that. I started watching wrestling myself. I started with, believe it or not, I didn't even start with WWF. I started with WCW.
Oh. Did something happen? Did it freeze up? Y'all see that, don't y'all? I'm gonna have to try to fix this, cause okay. Hold on, people. Technically, so if y'all got any questions, we're gonna get into the wrestling and then like the rest and a little bit more about his channel and all that. But I don't know what's up, so we'll fix that and everything, people. But how's everybody in the chat doing and everything? Hopefully y'all are doing good, enjoying the podcast and everything, enjoying getting a little bit more insight of him, because you always see him on the Game Looters podcast or the Chillcast, and he's talking a lot of gaming. But it's good to peek into the door and say, hey, this is where music, this is anime, and wrestling that he also loves as a content creator. And he's definitely one of my best friends, very good guy that at the drop of a hat, if I want to get in a Discord call and he's available, he's not busy with the kids or the wife or work, he's there, chit-chatting late at night about different things. So yeah, if y'all got anything y'all want to talk about, let me know and all that. And if I need to do anything, okay, so do I need to start? Okay, so I guess he'll get back on the call in just a second because his Discord died. So y'all are just going to see me for a second here and all that. So yeah. How's everybody in the chat doing? Y'all liking it up? Y'all making sure to share it out and everything like that? Because I like to get to the 10 like hype and all that. Okay. Okay. Move it to Hangouts. He yeah, y'all see me, but it's kind of like making sure everything is good for him to get back on because he had technical difficulties and all that. But hopefully y'all were enjoying it and everything. First time having saying technical difficulties. So this is what you deal with being a content creator. You're going to deal with technical difficulties, whether it be you're live streaming something, you're doing something this A, B, C, D, E, some kind of way, It's going to be it's trial and error, learning, missteps, a lot of stuff like that. And yeah, just share it out, like it up. I would like, and everybody that is here, I'm gonna give y'all a round of applause for being here. For all of this, we'll get back in. We're not gonna be too much longer when it gets back in, but I really wanted to dive into that. Because a lot of people I know, it's WWE Attitude Era is what brought them into it, but it's been rare you've seen somebody say something WCW. But hopefully y'all are doing good. Thank you, Big Evil Gaming, Megadan, Linda, Chicken Nugget, Avedon, Awkward Bloom, and everybody that was here and stopped by. We're just trying to get the technical difficulties fixed up. His Discord seems to have just crashed on him. Everything. So yeah. If y'all got any questions y'all want to ask me while we're sitting here, or anything y'all want to chat about for a moment, feel free, and we'll get things working. If it's gonna take too long, back up and going. But yeah, we're just chilling. What games y'all been playing? What have y'all been up to? People in there in the chat. My email is Studio Nicktendo. I'm gonna hit you up on Twitter if you can get the email that way, because I don't want to sit there and just put it out there. So I'm gonna hit you up on. Give me just a second. I have to get out of the chat because I'm looking at the chat through this. So I'm gonna hit you. Give me just a second, everybody. Let me do this real quick because I don't want to sit there and just put this chat in the live chat, because I don't use that email very much. The email he did. Right there. Okay, there we go. So, how's everybody in the chat doing? Okay, let me check. Okay, so he's telling me to check something on my email. So let me go to my email. Okay.
Hey, there we go.
Okay. See how to fix. Okay, it's gonna take a second, everybody. Just so.
All right, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me just.
I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Put it like fix this and just
get that fixed real quick. I can't believe it happened. Discord just completely died.
Okay.
Like it went kaput.
Okay, I got stuck on it now. So is there any way to put it side by side on here? Is there?
No, you have to click on me. Like you got in the top right, you're gonna have to click on me when I'm talking, and then click off it'll show up. So you just have to capture the whole that whole window. And
okay.
We'll just have to go back and forth that way. That's the only way it's gonna work. Sorry, I don't mean.
Okay, so we're gonna take a second, people. We're gonna fix this up live, and then we'll get right back to the wrestling part of it.
Yeah, I thought maybe for a second I was like, man, please don't tell me my internet went out. Nope, it's Discord. Thank God. but I'm also really dark again, and I can't fix it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what
unless I do this.
Now, is this what they changed went from Hangouts to Meets?
Yeah, this is what they swapped up. Okay, there we go. Now you can see me. Yeah, they changed Hangouts to Meet. But I will tell you what, if you really want to back up, just in case this happens again, look into a thing called StreamYard.
Okay, is that what you use whenever you're on Mikhail's?
Mikhail, yeah, look into StreamYard. That is a big, that thing's killer.
Okay, so let me get back on my phone so I can keep up with the chat because I don't want to make sure everything's looking right. If everything looks good, everybody, then let y'all.
Yeah, so when you're talking, just click on the top right, that picture on the top right. You click that, and it'll show you, and then.
Okay, so we should be good to go. Yeah. Okay, so everything looks good. So you're talking about your love for wrestling, and you mentioned how you didn't get into it for WWE. It was WCW.
Yeah. So like for me, when I started watching wrestling, I started watching like WCW. So my favorite wrestler was Sting. I started watching WCW like right when Hulk Hogan got there and stuff. So my favorite wrestler was Sting, Lex Luger back then. Kevin Nash just got there. Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, had just gotten there. So that was where I started watching wrestling. I didn't start watching WWE until WrestleMania 14 when Stone Cold won the title.
Wow.
So that was when I started watching WWE, and WCW had started to get a little bit ridiculous by then. Sting, it was during that Goldberg streak, and they ended his streak, and the Hulk Hogan ended his streak on that the way they ended it. And Sting wasn't really getting a big push because of Goldberg and Hulk Hogan, because I thought Sting was way deserving of being a champion than either one of them. But Hulk Hogan, was holding all the creative stuff, and then WCW started to go down a little bit. So then I started watching WWE, and that was right around the Attitude Era. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Mankind was on the come up. The whole Vince McMahon versus Stone Cold storyline, Undertaker in the Ministry with Vince McMahon as the higher power storyline.
Yeah,
Kane,
DX.
with DX, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian.
Mm-hmm.
That was where wrestling. I started watching wrestling, and then around 2002, 2003, I fell off and stopped watching for a little bit. So I missed the Randy Orton era. I missed the Ruthless Aggression era pretty much. So when Randy Orton was getting popular, that's John Cena.
That's when I came into it.
So I missed that whole era of wrestling, and I didn't start watching wrestling until recently. So I missed a whole decade of storylines. I missed the New Day. I heard about them. I missed the inception of NXT and all those wrestlers coming up. Like I missed all that stuff. So for me, I've been going back and going through the history to sort of figure out what connects here. Why. The connections between Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton, the connections between Randy Orton and Edge, how the New Day happened, the Usos, who were, all that stuff. I've been going through the history and sort of learning about, where people came from, why they're there, and stuff like that. So it's been interesting to go back through the history and check. But, I love wrestling now, though, even though I feel like the WWE has its issues. But at least we have NXT and AEW.
Yeah. Yeah, people, hope y'all can see me good here and all. This is the first time ever using this, but yeah, man, that whole era that you skipped is when I came into wrestling. I knew about the Ruthless, the Attitude Era, but my parents were like, my mom was like, I don't want y'all watching that. I don't want y'all y'all do anything like that. But my brother, he was 5 years older than me, and so he started watching a little bit of it, and then I got into it, and then eventually my brother went on to high school and college and all that, and I was by myself, and I'm just like watching. My mom's like, as long as you don't do none of that stuff, okay. Not knowing that whenever I graduate high school, I would go do backyard wrestling and get in the ring and all of that. But
oh snap,
yeah. But I remember coming in like the area you talked about. Whenever like people that then after the invasion happened, when you had all these people on the roster and all that, and you had John Cena, Batista, Chris Jericho, Edge going on his starting his singles run, Triple H finally getting out of DX, becoming singles wrestler. Yeah, then you eventually had him and Batista and Randy Orton all do Evolution with the legend Ric Flair and all that. That's whenever I was like right there. I'd come home from school Monday nights. I'm watching Monday Night Raw. Thursdays or Fridays, whatever day they put SmackDown on, I was watching it, sitting there watching it. And from time to time, I did peep that there was TNA, but it just looked so like WCW, and I was never a fan of WCW because I never really saw a lot of WCW. So I was like, I'm just gonna watch what I know, and I'm watching this. But
Yeah,
keep it up.
I loved the WCW era, like the 64 games. WCW versus NWO Revenge. That game was so good. The THQ games on the 64 were just phenomenal. You know, like, man, that whole era, when Chris Jericho was on the come up in WCW, and you know, they had just got X-Pac, but he was 6, and then he went back to DX, you know, a little bit later. The NWO, the Booker T's, the Stevie Rays, the NWO Wolfpack, when they unmasked Rey Mysterio, which was stupid, but when they unmasked Rey Mysterio and he was a part of the Wolfpack, and that was one of the dopest things ever.
Yeah.
There's just so many good things. There's so much good wrestling, and I hope that AEW can duplicate, you know, what WCW did with getting the talent and sort of having real legit good wrestling battles again, because, you know, like I said, WWE has its issues. They do, you know, and I understand it. They had the TV deals, and Vince McMahon, you know, only does what Vince McMahon wants to do. He, you know, if he doesn't see talent for what it is, he doesn't want to push him. You know, so I understand that, but, you know, NXT, at least we have that somewhat, but I hope AEW really does push. And I really hope that they start grabbing some of the talent that WWE starts letting go and utilizing them like they have been doing so far. You know, they have Matt Hardy now. They got Harper. Is it Luke Harper?
Yeah, it was Luke Harper. Yeah, now he's going by his indie name.
Yeah, so they have him. You know, I just hope that AEW really starts. I know they're gonna get the Revival, even though the Revival can't wrestle right now. AEW is going to get the Revival. I don't care what Cody Rhodes says. They're getting the Revival. You know what I mean? Like, things like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, not to mention our boy is on AEW now. Shout out to Baron.
Oh yeah,
shout out to Baron.
Baron. Yeah.
Baron's on AEW now.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is that I just put a super chat into a chat and said, hey, I'd like to be on here one day. I support the content. And OJ, the next day I'm on the podcast, and then a week later, Baron's popping up on AEW, and I'm like, what? I was just talking to him.
Yeah, so Baron's now an AEW wrestler. That's one of the dopest things ever. So yeah, I just really hope that AEW pushes WWE to, you know, be better, because WWE is slacking right now. They're not really pushing their young talent. There's a lot of young talent that they can be pushing.
For a while there, it was like they looked at TNA, which is now Impact. They looked at it as, oh, that's just another big indie company that has a TV deal, you know, and everything. And they were the biggest one out there. And it's like they could do what they wanted to, and they could buy it for everybody they wanted to. And oh, we don't want to use you. Well, we'll pay enough money for you not to go anywhere else because nobody else is going to pay you.
Right.
And they just have them sit there. It's like with this whole virus, I'm not going to mention it, but I'm just going to say it's virus. But when it came in there, you saw all those people that were just getting paid to just not be anywhere else.
Just sit there.
And they let them go.
Because they can afford to. Now they're going to go better places, and hopefully they do well.
You had EC3, which proved itself to be a world champion and came back to the company to try to do the same thing that Jinder Mahal or Drew McIntyre is doing now, and yet they didn't let him do that. He could have been top player. A guy that every time he almost get up there, they take the rug out from him. Zack Ryder, who's not going to go under his real name. They did that. They let him go and all that. And it's just like, man.
Luke Anderson Gallows, which that kind of killed the whole AJ Styles Bullet Club thing.
But what kind of got me about that whole thing is that I want to mention it for a second, because I want to speak on like how do you feel about wrestling about with no fans and all that. But if you looked at it whenever he came back because they gave him a spot in the Money in the Bank, he's wearing that shirt that says OC on it. And I'm like, well, they're not there anymore.
They could come back. You never know.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the things. I think AJ. I think that kind of even blindsided him because I watched a Mixer because he streams on Mixer, and he was talking about he didn't even know until it actually happened.
Right. And like, you never know. They could be coming back. You know. But now, like, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, but as a fan and watching wrestling over all these years, how does it feel whenever you go to watch it now and you're seeing all these companies it started with WWE and then AEW said we'd do it and now Impact's doing it. How do you feel watching wrestling and you're thinking there's no fans there? As a fan yourself, how do you feel not seeing people like you there watching it, giving the reactions that they wanted?
I mean, that does take a lot. You know, I'm used to it now. And you gotta take the good, you gotta take the good with the bad. Like the good part is there's no fans there, so now they can do more stuff like the Street Profits and Viking Raiders going out and having axe throwing competitions and playing basketball. They can do stuff like the Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania. They can do stuff like the Boneyard match, at WrestleMania. You know, they can do more stuff like that. The Money in the Bank match was clearly taped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the way they did it was hilarious, but that was obviously taped, and so they can do more stuff like that, which kind of brings it back to the Ruthless Aggression era, because Ruthless Aggression had more skits, there toward the end, with Matt Hardy doing his delete thing, you know what I mean? That was crazy. The Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt family, and the compound stuff, like, most of that was taped. You had a lot of skits. They can now start to go back to that a little bit because they kind of have to. There's not a whole lot. I mean, you can have a live wrestling, but you can now tell the stories in this way that they kind of got away from. So I'm enjoying that part of it. The live wrestling, yeah, man, it's tough because you can tell there's spots where you need to have the fans there. The worst thing about WrestleMania was no fans being there, but when Drew McIntyre wins and beats Brock Lesnar, and he kicks out of every F5, like because the way they set that up, because Brock Lesnar doesn't wrestle that long anyway, but like you can tell the way that was set up for a fan reaction. How many F5s is he going to take, before he actually kicks out? You could tell that was going to be built for fans to be like, oh my God, like it had that big pop. And when Drew McIntyre was going to win, you could tell it was supposed to be a big pop, and it just never happened. Because the fans weren't there,
I felt that.
And that does hurt a lot, but they're doing what they can. I relatively soon we'll have fans back. But it's just weird, but I kind of like what they're doing right now. So both ways, AEW and WWE right now, and NXT are doing the best they can.
I think, let me get back over here to me. I think personally, WWE could benefit from taking something from AEW. Is that they're getting a reaction because AEW is like, we can't have fans, but we have all these wrestlers here. Let them be the fans. Yeah, and they're actually,
like AEW is killing it in that direction. Like they're making a sideshow within a show. Like one of my favorite segments was when you had what's that dude's name? My favorite heel, JDF, not JDF. Is it JDF?
MJF?
Not MJF. Like when you had MJF and them taking bets on the side of the ring, and the guy was over, was like, "Are you betting?" And he gets his face. He's like, "How dare you accuse us of doing something so despicable?" And then he's like, "Do you win it on action or not?" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, maybe I'll have
stuff like
that.
Yeah. So like when you do things like that, it's very entertaining. And they could benefit from doing that. I think the problem with WWE though is that they are trying to follow the social distancing rules a whole, way different than everybody else. So I think it's part of it. They just don't want to have everybody in that arena, but AEW is doing it a lot better as far as having it there and giving it that Attack of the Show feel. You were watching the Attack of the Show on, and having the workers yell back like there's an audience there, but it's really not audience, it's just the workers. Like they're doing a good job giving it that feel.
Mm-hmm. That's my thing, is that AEW doing a good feel, but I do feel bad for the wrestlers, because you got to go out there and that reaction, some of the matches, especially like tag team matches, when you have like the part where you got to go to that tag, like the crowd's going to cheer for the one they want more to get that tag first, and you don't feel it. And then I'm watching this Undertaker special, just really quickly, we mentioned Undertaker special, and then I saw Edge pop up on it, and I'm like, that's a guy I feel bad for because he was gonna have the biggest pop of his career coming back at WrestleMania and having a match that was gonna be way out there,
man.
and it's like you see it, and it's like that's one of my favorites of all time, and I just felt bad because his pop he got at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, you feel bad at Edge. You feel bad for Edge. You feel bad for Drew McIntyre because of the pop that he got for winning the Royal Rumble. And everybody was so excited, and he's going. And I'm going to be in. He's one of my favorite WWE champions in recent history. He's like, I was really hyped for Kofi Kingston, but he's probably one of my favorite. I like him as a champion better than Kofi Kingston.
Wow.
Drew McIntyre as a champion is phenomenal, and it's not being done justice because there's no fans there. He is a great baby face. The way he acts, his mannerisms, everything.
I mean, the whole Claymore kick, it's like it was just a kick how he did out of nowhere, and then they started adding the fan interaction to 1, 2, and then it's like the fans aren't there.
Yeah, and his turn to face was great. You know, and that's the thing that kills me. Like Drew McIntyre is one that really does bother me. He deserves the fanfare, but he's just not going to have it because, you know, there's no fans there.
Yeah. That really hurts me for the wrestlers itself, not seeing the fans there to give them what they want. But at the same time,
Asuka.
Yeah, Asuka.
There's another one, Asuka. You know, I've always loved Asuka. Like I've always had, ever since I started watching wrestling again, I've loved Asuka. And you know, she just never. Now she's the champion, even though the circumstances, but she's not going to have the crowd there. And she's a great performer, even if she doesn't speak English. You know what I mean? Even though she speaks very little English, her and Kyrie saying, but she is a great performer.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's crazy that what we grew up on, seeing the Monday Night Wars and seeing the Attitude Era and the ruthless aggression and all that. Now you look at wrestling and you're just like, it's not the same kind of impact because like it's cool to see that stuff and see them that they still have a job and all that. But I'm like, where the fan interaction, where you get to like the pops or like, or sometimes the fans can say something and it can change the whole way a match works. And it's just like, wow, you don't get that.
Right.
And it was like hard watching WrestleMania without the fans because like Drew McIntyre, all the title matches just didn't feel as much as a title match because it wasn't the fans there. And it's like Undertaker. His match with AJ Styles would have probably been totally different if they would have had fans.
Yeah, it would have been way different. My thing, though, is I kind of feel like Undertaker benefited from that Boneyard match. That Boneyard match made Undertaker look really, really good. Like, we've seen Undertaker in the ring the past few years, and we're just like, man, are you sure you can still do this? But the way they did the camera angles, the way they did the match for the Boneyard match it made Undertaker look like the freaking Undertaker.
Especially when they had that, whenever I got here right in time for that match, and I was watching it with you, and the music hit, and then they bring up the badass, and I was like, they did that so well. The feeling, that hit me right there. The match, in that case, the match would have been way different. I think Undertaker wouldn't have looked as AJ Styles would have made him look as good as he possibly could, because AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers that we have right now. But Undertaker's still the Undertaker. He's still moving real slow. Yeah. The question in the chat: the question is, do you see wrestling fans will enjoy wrestling more when they are allowed back in the arenas?
Yes, they will. They will realize what they have missed. I think wrestling fans had a tendency to get real jaded, especially the really deep ones.
This brings up a good point. He talks about wrestling fans in arenas, but that's also, you could say, something we talked about at the beginning, music. When you see people come back in there and back to see a live show again, me as a fan, I'd be much more appreciative of that person, be the Foo Fighters or it be a Data Remember or anybody playing a show for me, because we're paying the money to see them play and do a show, and I'm going to have to be more appreciative of it.
Right. 100%. But I just feel like wrestling fans will be more appreciative of everything once they come back. Less complaining a little bit. You're gonna realize what you missed, because wrestling fans there get jaded for a while. You know so much about the storylines. You know so much about each person now that we do get jaded about certain things.
Yeah, because for a while there's been points where the dirt sheets were all over everything, and you get on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube and see all these people talking stuff, and then you see these fans and they go to the shows and you're like, they already know what's going to happen before it happens. They're already booing that person. you know, and then they're having to scramble to change that up last minute, and you can tell whenever they did a last minute change, that wrestler's having to do that change, but he wasn't prepared for it.
Right.
But it's been a really good chat with you. I don't want to keep you too terribly long, man, but it's been good chatting with you. I just got a few more things I wanted to hit on when it comes to your channel. It's been good seeing you talk about music, wrestling, and anime. You had fun chatting about this stuff?
Do what now? You kind of dropped out. You botted there for a minute, so I didn't see what you said there at the end.
I was like, I don't want to keep you too terribly long, so we're going to get towards the end of it. But have you had fun talking about music, wrestling, and anime?
Oh, yeah. Like, you know, those are like right now, those are like my favorite things. I mean, my favorite things currently right now to watch are wrestling, anime, sports. And then I like playing music and I like playing games. It's like my five favorite things right now. And we talked about four of them. So
yeah, because
we kind of talked about the X at the beginning. So we hit them all five.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to watch that one right now because you don't know because they're not doing any sports.
Right.
I feel that, man. You talk about feeling bad for fans. You got to feel bad for those people that have these big contracts that can't even finish their seasons. You couldn't do any of that.
They're still getting paid though.
Yeah, still getting paid. So I just wanted to ask you towards the end here. As far as it goes to your channel, Studio Nicktendo, is there any kind of things you would like to see your channel like go into, or any ambitions or things like you could say, hey, people, this is maybe some things that we could look forward to, or here's goals I want to hit, or anything?
So I'm changing sort of the gear of my channel. So I kind of like what I'm doing right now as far as how I'm hitting these covers and doing more singing. But I also still like doing the instrumental. So what I'm going to try to do is while I'm working on single covers that I've been doing with the singing and stuff, I'm also going to be working on background albums. So like the Final Fantasy VII album that I sent out to all the Patreons, that's one of them.
Fire.
You know, that's going up soon. I'm doing a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 one right now. I'm working on that. So those are more instrumental full projects. Meanwhile, I'm working on singles at the same time. And that's kind of what I'm trying to hit on right now. I kind of like the direction I'm going right now with the channel. So yeah, we're going to keep going on with that. Yeah. But really, I didn't hit the goal that I wanted. I wanted to be at 1K within a year, but that didn't happen. So we'll see what happens, moving forward. But the channel's steadily growing right now, so I'm enjoying it.
So I know you've been doing a lot of the music stuff like that, and there's some music things I peeped at you here or there that I would like to see, some of my favorite series. But when it comes to like the hip hop ones you did, are you ever going to get back into doing more hip hop covers? You can tell.
I don't know. It's tough because I polled everybody, because I remember I had that update and I polled everybody and I said, do you like the hip hop covers? And everybody said, nah, stick to video games and anime. So I've been doing that. I might do some every sparingly. I might actually do another channel just specifically for the hip hop channels, but I kind of just want to focus on Studio Nicktendo right now. I don't really want to do it on any other channel, if that makes sense. So yeah, I might do some sparingly. It might be like a surprise every once in a while.
Yeah, because I can see it being I can see it being a creator. You don't want to sit there and divide your audience by like, hey, I'm building a channel here, but you want to build it in one platform, get this one to the goals, and then maybe say, hey, I might try this.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm focusing on just building up just a community and culture, and then when it comes time to maybe he'll let me try this hip hop cover, then we'll put it out.
Cool. Been really fun chatting with you, asking you some questions, learning more about your music and wrestling and all that, and where you came into it. Way different than I came into it. So for everybody in the chat, because we don't have any more questions or anything you would like to leave everybody off is like, this is what I would like people to know about Studio Nicktendo before we get out of here.
Really? I mean, if you go to the channel and you like the channel, hit that subscribe button, and then also go listen to some music on Spotify. There's really not much like what me and Chris talked about. I mean, that's most of anything that you need to know about me. Like, if you know, like, what we talked about is me. Like, this is me. I like anime. I like wrestling. I like sports. I like video games. I like all the stuff that we talked about today. If you talk to me in any other fashion, we'd probably have the same exact conversation. So really, there's not really much more you need to know about me than what you already learned. But just stop by the channel, hit that subscribe button if you like the content, and support, and just help out. Watch every video. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss one. Stuff like that.
Amen. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. It's been a pleasure having my good friend Studio Nicktendo on here. If there's anybody else y'all like to see get on here, please peep it out to them. Hey, maybe you want them to be on here, and maybe next time we do it, we don't have issues with Discord. I'm definitely because I had this issue live, gonna definitely peep out StreamYard. I've heard Avidon say something about it, and Mikhail and a few others. So I'm definitely gonna peep it out because this is somewhere I didn't know I was gonna go. But after I did the thing with Linda, I had like my thing blew up on Twitter, like people saying, "Hey, you need to do more of that. You need to do more of that." You know, because it's off the cuff, but it works for you. So I'm gonna continue trying to do this. I'm still on the road to 1K subscribers. I'm at 700 something subscribers, but that's why I promote my videos. Hey, I'm on the push for it, you know, to get there because there's a lot of big things. I've got goals set up for certain numbers. Y'all see me saying my streams and all that, and I appreciate everybody coming by, hearing me dive into these things with Studio Nicktendo because I'd seen him on some other things, and whenever he expressed he would like to be on here, I was like, let's dive into some things that he's talked about, but he hasn't talked about like in a while, or to the degree that like I feel like he would like to share with people. So that's why you heard more about the wrestling or some of his anime or like the music, not just, hey, I do music, but where did it come from, or the instruments and stuff like that. So thank you for that being here.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Like I said, I saw your first episode, and I was like, "Yo, that's really cool. Keep doing that, man. Keep having people on. Keep having people talking. It creates a community. Like, it just creates a community that is really kind of cool when you have people on. You talk about the creation, and then you learn about people, and it makes people more relatable. And you learn, okay, this person's struggling with that as well. Like, this is what they're about. I like being about that. Let me hang out, you know. And that's the best part about this. So, appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. So everybody, I just want to let y'all know that we will try to have another episode of this, all things going good, next week. Will it have a guest? I don't know. If it doesn't have a guest, I'll get a couple of topics curated, and we'll do one of the older way we did it, where it's just me solo show. But that will happen from time to time because people are busy in life, and I can't always get to that. But I am looking at ways that, hey, if I can't ever get somebody live, maybe doing a pre-recorded way of doing it and popping up there as a premiere in the time slot that this would be around with 6, 7, or 8 o'clock time period. But I appreciate everybody that came by today, everybody that asked a question. Appreciate Studio Nicktendo giving some of his time. Y'all see me live tomorrow again, because I was going to do a gameplay stream after. I usually try to divide that up, do a gameplay stream after, but tonight I'm going to take it kind of easy, and tomorrow I might pull out the electric guitar and just do a little bit of some random original stuff and just do a just chatting stream tomorrow. So y'all see me then, and you all do me the biggest favor of all. Make sure you share this out, like it up, check out his content. His link's down there in the description box below. For Studio Nicktendo, he's on all the platforms. You just type it in. You can do just like I tell people to do me. Just put it in Google, and you should be able to find him somewhere. Definitely give him some listen. It truly helps him out, especially on Spotify. I've been peeping it while I'm at work sometimes, just popping it in and listening to it while I'm on break, scrolling through Twitter or something. And y'all keep doing me the biggest favor of all. The biggest favor of all that I always say at the end of my content, and that is stay awesome. And we'll see y'all next time.
Yes, sir.